Hello, hello! My name is Aisling Drennan, and the reason I'm popping up on your phone screen is because every Wednesday I speak live from my studio here in London about the work that I've been making. So if you've been following me for a bit, you'll know that I've just started into a new body of work, and the way that begins is by paint studies. I will be offering these paint studies via my newsletter for £250 each. If you just pop over to my website aislingdrennan.com, you'll be able to sign up there. So I'm just going to talk through 4 that I've finished this week, give you a full insight into how I make a painting, the materials I use and the processes and the paint techniques involved. If you are interested in one of these original paintings, just pop me a DM if you would like to reserve, or you can wait until you receive them into your inbox via my newsletter once they've been photographed, and you can see all the detail when they've been professionally photographed. After I go through these 4 paintings, I'm going to show you some framing options, because on each painting I've left a 1-inch white border. So this allows ample room for framing, and you will receive it flat packed with my signature on the back. So let's get talking paint. So let's begin with the yellows. So this study would be the closest to what I was finishing off last year, so it was a good space for me to start. If you remember last week, if you watched my stories, I had overloaded a little too much with the charcoal blending, so the wetness and the dryness, the wet of the oil paint and the dryness of the charcoal. So I've brought all the tones back into yellow, and I've added quite a bit of copper. I also added some masking tape into these areas, and what that does, masking tape creates like a paint border, because it creates these hard lines. So what I do is stick it down, paint over it for a few layers, and then pull it back off, and you get all these sort of insights into the underpainting, as well as these lovely hard lines, which are in contrast to these softer brush marks that are dragging down through. And then it's sister painting, the second yellow one. So here I wanted to experiment a bit more with my paint application, and that is the main focus of making paint studies, because they are used essentially to inform larger works. So it's where I can experiment, and where all the good stuff happens, really. So I had applied very thick paint to the point where you can really see the bristle marks, I should say, coming through to each of these blocks. And then I wanted to play more with that idea of texture, so I went in with my trusty palette knife and just cut right in to areas of the paint. So you're getting that push and pull idea, and it's very textured, it's very heavy, and it's layered, and it becomes a different sort of visual conversation then to the first yellow painting. This one's a wee bit more softer, but it's lending to the idea of the new direction that I want to go with my painting. And also I started to play with these brush marks, where I'm moving outside the drawn mark of the rock that I would have originally popped in, that I'm starting to blend them one into the other. So just if you are new to following me, all my work is currently inspired by rock landscapes, where I had spent time in many locations, particularly back in Ireland, and made lots of studies into rock and rock formations, took them back into my studio, and then replicate them onto my paintings. That is quite a short synopsis of my painting practice, but you can find out more over on my website, on my artist bio. So for the green and the blue, I wanted to refer back to this painting from last year, because I really enjoyed the swing and the sense of threading, particularly with the yellow finish. So in the green, I've kept everything very light, very subtle, and very playful. So I used a larger paintbrush, so the paint marks are much wider, they're a lot more gestural, and then I had separated out the rock shapes. I wanted to reconnect them back in, so I used a oil pastel to sort of reconnect them and bring like almost like they're back together. I decided to go with the lemon yellow, because I was going to use like a cadmium yellow, but I think it just would have been too harsh to the overall finish, because everything's quite quiet. So even if I put this down on the side beside the painting, you can see the contrast. It's when you're working in very subtle tones, You don't want to cause too much disruption, especially when you're painting on this kind of scale. If you're painting larger, it's fine because you have more space to create that balance. But on this scale, it's just better to keep everything nice and subtle and clean and clear. I finished with some bronze marks that I made using my wallpaper scraper, which is a really handy tool in the studio. And again, just reflecting on the marks from the studies I had made from rocks, where you know the way you get those really hard lines running through rocks where there's been past cracks and scratches and all that idea. So just playing around with that. And I love as well the way that they start out very strong and they fan out and they fade in their presence on the painting. So again, it's just bringing in that texture. So with the blue, this is where I really wanted to just go for it and see what happens. So there's a lot more character in this painting. There's a lot more presence of mark making, and it's a really confident painting. It's saying a lot. I did again repeat the wide brush marks for the gesture. This time though, I went back into using masking tape, applying it vertically, so you get more of that up visual that I wanted to reflect into these previous marks where I had pushed back through into the layers of paint, and then reconnecting with this lime green. So the lime green was a bit of a I'm not sure if I should keep working like this, but then I left last night, came back into the studio this morning and just thought, yeah, this is good. This is moving in a direction that I'm interested in, and I feel like I can pull a lot from this as I continue painting. So that is those 4 paintings. 2 of them are reserved already. If you are interested in one, just pop me a DM and we'll have a chat. Once they are photographed, then I will also be able to send you a detailed video which will give you more of a visual understanding of the paintings. And now I'm gonna pop myself around and show you some framing options. Works on paper, I tend to keep my framing quite neat, but there is loads of options. But just to show you how I've done it, these are from late last year. This is Languid. This is a plain white mount. It's quite thick with a plain white frame surround. And then this is Prussian. This is a bit bigger, and again repeated white mount with a white frame. And then I just have these 2 that I'm gonna continue painting with and deciding whether they're good enough to be sold, or whether they should be put into my visual diary. I'm having great fun with these, kind of playing with the marks, playing with the back marks on the underpainting. So I'm just going to see how it goes. If because I've given you a lot of information in this studio update, but all of my studio updates go into the creative journal section of my website. So if you ever want to learn a bit more about what I do and how I do it, I talk about this week to week, and they all go into the creative journal section on my website. You can check it out here. So as always, thank you so much for taking an interest in my work. Thank you for all your feedback and for watching my videos. These paintings will be available via my newsletter first before I post them onto Instagram. So do sign up to the link in my bio on top. Otherwise, just pop me a DM or an email to hello@ashleydrennan.com. I love to talk paint, so just let me know. Cheerio guys, bye.